Welcome to Stress Release Yoga. Today we're going to focus on our backs, on the whole back, shoulder blades down to hips. So working through the sides of the ribs that often get stuck and tight. And then we're going to work on legs a bit too, because that is part of getting our backs to be happy. So let's take a nice big breath. Just settle in. Work on being just here in this moment, feeling your breath. Try to feel centered in your body. Mind focus just here on this present moment. Taking care of yourself. Think about something that you're grateful for. And allow a little bit of happiness to flow in with your inhales. Let your chin gently drop down towards your chest. Being conscious of what you're feeling, just letting the head tilt forward to a comfortable place. Notice what you're feeling. So I can feel this in my shoulders, the tops of my shoulders and my neck, but I can also feel it running all the way down my spine. You might be able to feel it moving into the upper back, into the shoulder blades. I can feel this little bit of pull along both sides of my spine, pretty far down. Take a breath. Let your head lift up. We're going to do a little seated cat and dog here. So just hands on your legs. We're going to push the chest forward. It's a little bit harder to do these movements seated, especially I think the forward position. So again, we're just going to feel it. Shoulder blades pull back, chest pulls forward, and then we're going to round. Exhale, pull your belly in, round the back. Gently come back forward, chest forward, shoulder blades back. You can do this sitting at your desk during the day. Just feet on the floor, hands on your legs, just this little rounding back and forth. Or flexing back and forth, rounding and then pushing forward. All right, bring it on back to center. Let's just turn to the right, little twist. Right hand just reaches behind you. It may not be all the way behind you. It may just be off to the side. Just a nice little gentle twist, waking up the spine, and then we're just taking it to the other side. Left hand reaches towards the back, resting on the floor, and then back to center. Let's take the feet out wide. Stretching your back a little bit before the beginning of your day is a great thing. All right, we're going to feet wide. We're going to fold over the right leg. Just a little child's pose, any little thing that's going to stretch your back. It's a great way to begin your day, to set yourself up for not just, having, because when we wake up in the morning, depending on how active you are before you sit down at your desk, our bodies are tight in the morning. So then when we especially when we're working from home, when we just kind of roll right into our desks, then the back is just gonna, be still even longer. And so just a few stretches before you start your day can be super helpful. All right, so both legs, I can't remember what I said there because I was talking, but hopefully I did say come up and fold over your left leg, or you were watching me. All right, we're going to come up. We're just going to fold down the middle. Just ease your way forward. You can do a little wiggling around here if that works for you. You can roll a little bit towards that right leg and bring your left arm up. And that might be from your hands. Just kind of roll, and then we're going to roll a little bit towards the left leg, bring the right arm up. I can feel that all through the side of my hip here. And then we're going to come back through center, take a breath. Let's roll onto our backs. We're going to, sorry, allergy season, it's so lovely. All right, we're going to roll onto our backs. We're just going to pull our knees in. So that for those of you who've been doing yoga and you know child's pose, this is like an upside down child's pose. When we're in child's pose, we're on our shins, and that can be hard on the knees. It can be a little intense on the hips too. So this is an inverted child's pose really. And child's pose often we're stretching our arms up past our heads. So here too, you can get some work on your shoulders. When we're in child's pose, it's slightly different because of the, the way the body's flipped over and the torso is pushing down. Slightly different stretch for your shoulders. But even just here, with your arms out past your head, and that pressure of the shoulder blades pushing down on the floor, you're going to get some shoulder opening. All right, let's grab hold of the shins. We're going to rock. You can lean as far as you like over to the side and then come back and rock to the other side. And just be this little swaying. So starting to manipulate the spine a bit. We're rolling across the ribs, across the spine. I can feel movement in my shoulders here. Notice what you're feeling. And then we're going to grab for our feet so we can do a happy baby. Happy baby can be with the feet together, or you can separate those feet. And again, you can rock a little bit. And then let your feet come on down. We're going to straighten the legs out and bring our arms past our heads. Full body stretch. Legs come down. We're going to lengthen them out from the hips. Toes point up towards the ceiling. And then those arms are coming up. Let yourself just settle in here on the floor. Try to let your shoulder blades pull up. Let your shoulders pull up towards your ears. So by manipulating where these shoulder blades are, by pulling them up a bit, we're going to start to stretch into the rib cage. And then walk your feet onto the floor. We're just going to do a little bridge pose here. I'm feeling like my hips are not going to lift up very much today. We'll see. Want your feet on the floor near your hips. A little space between the feet. Low back presses down, and then start to lift your hips up. Again, we're going to look for this pressure onto the shoulder blades. Just try to lift up enough that you're feeling like you're really just resting on your shoulder blades. So you may need to lower your hips back down a little bit to get into that area. And then if you can sway your hips a little bit to one side. The more back trouble you have, the slower you want to go and the more cautiously you want to shift positions. But if you can bring your hips over to one side, you'll put more weight onto that foot. And you'll also put more weight onto the shoulder blade on that side. And then you're just going to shift them back to the other side. So with back trouble, it may be just that you're going to shift and not so much sway back and forth. If you're okay, you can shift the hips, but again, relatively slowly. You want to feel what's going on here. We want to feel that pressure on each shoulder blade. It's like we're kind of drawing the skin and the muscles across the bones, just shifting your hips over to each side, feeling what's going on there. And then slowly bring it on down. Press your low back into the floor. Take a breath. Let's do a reclining pigeon. Bring your right ankle on top of your left thigh. So again, the leg function is really going to influence what's going on in our backs. If you're not feeling, so especially if your shoulders are flared up this morning and you're feeling like this is not great for your shoulders, that you're tensing too much in here, let that left foot stay on the floor and drop your legs over to the right side. Let that right foot come down. You can adjust this by letting your left knee move farther away from your left shoulder or by trying to bring it up a little closer. And then on the days when I feel like my foot is sliding, I'll hold on to the foot here. If sometimes I can't bring my knee up where it is now, a lot of times it's lower and then the foot tends to slide out. Today it seems to be working here. So I'm just going to stretch, since I don't have to hold my foot today, I'm just going to stretch my arms out at shoulder height. If it feels better to have your arms higher or lower, if you're doing this position and not holding the leg, you can shift your arms. So even though this pose is, very much about stretching the hip and the outer leg, you can also decide where you need the focus to be. So if you need to help your shoulders and holding that leg isn't good, you can make that change based on, I need to focus on my shoulders today and where do I want to place my arms. Because we're still getting the benefit through the hip and the leg. All right, we're going to release. So if you got the leg, let it down. If you're on your side here, we're just going to extend the leg out and then bring right foot up into the air. Either reaching for your right foot or the back of your right leg. Big breath. You want to let the abdomen relax here. All right, let's let this right leg come down. Extend it out along the floor. Let's do both legs out. Try to walk your legs out from your hips, toes up towards the ceiling. And then wiggle your toes. Squeeze your toes in, stretch them out, wiggle them around. And then walk feet back up onto the floor. Bring your left ankle on top of your right thigh. Breath. So again, you can decide, are you going to bring that right leg up and hold the back of the right leg, or are you going to let the legs drop over to the right side? Again, that knee can move farther away from your right shoulder or closer towards your right shoulder. And then where are you going to place your arms if you're not holding the leg? If you are holding the leg, work on letting your shoulders relax. Keep that breath moving. If your foot's sliding, just rest your hand on top of the foot. Breathe. And then we're going to let this side gently release. Okay, so we're going to bring this left foot up towards the ceiling. And you're just going to see what's going on this side. Are you reaching for the foot? Or are you reaching for the back of the leg? We're just going to pull in gently. You can hold on to the big toe too. Sometimes if you can get the foot and holding the toe is just a little less intense. Soften the abdomen. And then we're gonna let this left leg come down. Both legs stretch out along the floor. The arms could be anywhere. Sometimes we can overdo it by bringing the arms up overhead too many times. Yeah, I'm gonna keep mine down here. And again, just move your toes a little bit. Alright, we're going to take it into a twist. Okay, so we're going to keep right leg straight. We're going to bring left foot onto the floor. Bring your left knee over to the right side. Either keeping your left foot on that right leg or let the foot come all the way over to the other side. So here we're going to start to get a little bit into the rib area. With this one, with these twists, depending on how easily your spine twists. For me, it's a very intense shoulder stretch usually. You can vary where you place, particularly right the back arm. The front arm is just resting on the floor for most of us. The back arm is where you're going to feel it. And you can move this back arm around. You can extend it out roughly at shoulder height, or you can have it pull up so that the arm is closer to your head. And then you may start to feel it a little bit more in through the front. So I can feel it right along like the front edge of the armpit in there. Because how often do we stretch that? So by varying where you're placing this arm, you're going to find that you're going to hit different muscles. Looking for that place that needs to be stretched, but it's not overdone. Now we're going to change sides. So bring this left foot back, pull back onto your back. Nice and easy. Feet on the floor, press your low back down. We're going to pull the knees in and then let your head turn to one side. Take a couple breaths. Let your head slowly come back to center. And then let the head roll to the opposite side. And let it come on back to center. Another breath. And bring your feet back down onto the floor. We're going to twist to the other side. Left leg straightens out. We're going to take the right knee over to the left side. So again, this right foot can stay on the leg or you can bring it over. And then where do you want your right arm to be? Breathe. And then roll on back. Press your low back into the floor. Pull your knees in. And let your head turn to one side. Bring the head back to center. And let it roll to the other side. Bring your head back to center. All right, hands behind your head. Let your feet come down. We're just going to pull the head up a little bit. Just try to feel that stretch in your neck. Just lifting your head up. Lower back down. Press your head down gently into your hands, engaging the neck muscles. Big full breath. We're going to flip over onto the abdomen. You can do this either just rolling over onto your abdomen, or you can flip the other way. Do you have a preference as to which direction your head is in? Now we're going to work on getting in through these side, through the rib cage, the back ribs. Coming on, coming on to your belly here. All right, we're going to do a flying fish. So most of you know this pose. I'm going to do it from both sides, just so that you're clear about where we're going. So I'm going to show you the back half, and then I'm going to flip. We're going to extend one arm out at shoulder height. You're turning your head in the opposite direction, and that may be your spot there. Or if you can roll, you're going to roll onto the side of your body. Legs can be straight. This top leg can straighten out behind you, or you can bring the foot onto the floor, the knee pointing up. Okay, so now that I'm just going to turn it the other way because I want to show you what we're going to experiment with the front hand. So, all right, now this is my right arm. We're going to extend right arm out. I'm going to turn my head to the left. I'm going to roll my body towards that right arm. And then I might change where my legs are. Sometimes I like them straight because it gives this nice length through the hip, which feels good. But the front arm, if you feel like you needed to push you backward to hold you in place, it can rest closer to you. But if you can reach this front arm sort of forward and up a little bit of a diagonal, it's going to start to really stretch through those back ribs, which is what we're going for. So again, you can do either legs straight, legs stacked on top of each other, or you can do the left foot on the floor behind your right leg. And so once your knee is kind of pushing you in that way, you're really getting this deep stretch across those back ribs because your leg is pulling your back in one direction and your arm is pulling in the opposite direction. So you're getting this diagonal stretch across the back ribs. It can be quite intense. So don't feel like you have to stay here all that long. All right, we're going to release. We're going to come back onto the abdomen. If you feel like you need child's pose, push back into child's pose. If you're okay here on the abdomen, you can just stay here. And side two. Extend your left arm out at about shoulder height. Turn your head to the right. We're going to roll the body towards that left arm. And again, legs can go anywhere you're feeling it. And then this front arm, we're going to reach forward at a diagonal. So reaching forward and then up a bit. Trying to feel that stretch through the right side of those back ribs. then come on back to center. So again, if you're okay here in your abdomen, stay here. We're going to do half frog next. So that'll be on the belly. If you feel like you want to shift positions, then just come back into child's pose, either with the arms extended in front of you or arms alongside your legs. All right, a half frog. I'm just gonna flip. Onto the abdomen. We're gonna bring that right knee up to about hip height. If you like, you can be on your lower arms. If this feels nice on your low back or in your shoulders, you can rest on your lower arms here. If you want to be flat, just rest your head on your hands or arms. We're going to relaxing the right leg. Breathe out. So again, knees about in line with the hip. So you're getting this inner front of the hip, inner leg, front of the hip, pushing down towards the floor. And let's change sides. So if you need back support, roll to your left. Straighten this right leg out. We're going to bring the left knee up to about hip height. And then again, you can be low or you can rest on your lower arms. You can change that from side to side. Then we're going to straighten out this leg. So again, you can lean away from that knee and straighten the leg out. And then we'll press back into child's pose. Let the back lengthen out. Those of you who want to do a vinyasa, like there's more than one of you here on the video, we're going to come forward either from a plank or from a hands and knees. You want to lower down slowly. Otherwise, you can just slide out from cobra or from child's pose and into cobra. Try to really pull those elbows and shoulders down, chest forward. And then we're going to come back into child's pose. Let's do pigeon. If you don't want to do pigeon, you could do reclining pigeon again. I think after that we're going to do one more on our backs, trying to get into those like shoulder side and rib area. So you can choose. If you're doing pigeon, You're going to bring that right knee forward and out to the right side. So right knee's going to the right, right foot's coming over to the left side of the mat. Left leg walks back. You can decide to stay on your hands. You can do this bit of a back bend. Today for me that feels nice. In through this low back, right up against the hip. If you want to try to stretch quads here, this will also open up shoulders. You can reach back for that right foot if it'll go. If you want to lower down, come down onto lower arms. If you're comfortable farther down, you can lower down. You can walk the upper body away from the knee and observe if that shifts the stretch into a better spot. And then we're going to stretch. If you're feeling a down dog, you can come back through center. Bring that front leg back and push into down dog. Let your head drop down. And then if you want to move, if you're doing pigeon and not reclining pigeon, if you want to move into pigeon from down dog, you're going to bring the left leg up into the air and then bring the knee forward. Let your foot come down towards the right side of the mat and then the shin and the knee drop down. Right leg walks back. Again, you can do your back bend here. You can walk hands back. If you want to do quads here, you can reach back for the back foot, squeeze in. And then if you like, you can lower down. You might shift away from that knee again. Breathe. And then we're releasing this side. So again, if you're in pigeon, maybe a stretch. In downward facing dog. And then we're going to move on to our backs. We're going to do banana asana. We'll probably do our last twist that we usually do. And then we'll relax for a few minutes. So come on to your back. Take a breath. Knees can pull in if you like. Release your back out. Banana asana, reclining crescent pose, it's also called. Got the legs out. There's two ways that I will usually move into it. One is with your legs out straight, and you're going to walk your feet over to the right side. And that you're just going to let them move. They might not go very far, and they're just going to stop. The other way to move into it is with your feet on the floor, and you walk your feet over to the side, and then you straighten out the legs. That might usually slide back, because they don't like to go that far. And then we're going to try to bend at the waist. So you're working on keeping the whole back of the body flat on the floor, not rolling to the side. You want to keep this hip down. You want to keep these both shoulder blades down. We're bending at the waist. So it's this arcing of the body. You're getting a stretch through this outer hip, through the side of the waist. So if we're going to the right, and then if you bring your left arm up and over and hook it around the head, then you're going to get into, again, those back ribs. You're going to get into that shoulder. I usually either rest my right arm on my left hand, or sometimes I'll hold the wrist and just kind of pull this arm over a bit so that the arm's not sliding backward. You can cross ankles if you like. You can go either way. You can cross left ankle over right or right ankle over left. And then we're going to breathe. So it's this stretch, the whole outside of the body, right? Not this inner curve, but the outer curve. Take it to the other side. Alright, so just release the arm, and then maybe they're going to bring feet onto the floor. I'm going to do a little low back stretch here. So you can come back to center, and then if you need that low back stretch, you're either just pushing your low back down. Sometimes I'll bring my heels up so the tailbone tilts up a little bit, or you can pull these knees in. And then we're going to straighten the legs out along the floor again. So walk your feet over to the left side. And then we're going to bend at the waist, keeping the back of the hips and shoulder blades down on the floor. We're going to bend to the side. And then this right arm is going to come up. Should have said if you have any numbness, tingling, or pain, you're going to let that hand come back down along your side. But if you're okay, again, you're going to either pull on the wrist gently, not trying to rip your arm out of your shoulder, or you're going to let your left arm just kind of rest on that right palm. And then you can just decide, are you crossing legs on this side? Is it working, crossing ankles? Is it working for you, or is it not working for you? And then breath. Sink down. And then we're going to come back through center. So again, maybe walk your feet back, come back in. You can pull your knees in again. And then let's just get right into a twist. Arms out at shoulder height. We're going to let the knees drop over to the right side. Either side will do. Just drop your knees over to one side. Breath. And then come all back to center. We're going to drop the knees over to the opposite side. Big breath. Then we're coming back to center. Squeeze the knees in. If you're doing a happy baby, reach for your feet. And then let your feet come on down for Shavasana. So Shavasana, really, a lot of people will skip Shavasana, but it really is a pose you want to try to do. Even if you can't get your mind to be quiet, which is completely normal and understandable, that our minds are so busy. So even if you can't keep your mind quiet, just try to be still, even just for a minute. Just try to be still, focus on your breath, imagine yourself in a beautiful place, imagine yourself, in your favorite vacation place. And begin to breathe a little more deeply. Gently move your fingers and your toes. Rotate your wrists and your ankles. Maybe turn your head from side to side. And stretch your arms overhead. Bend your knees and roll to one side. And slowly work your way up to seated. Finish with one more breath. Hands at the heart. Nice big inhale. Exhale it out. Take a moment again to think about something that you're grateful for. And allow happiness to flow in with each inhale. Thank you for sharing in this practice today. Namaste.